Hi everybody, here's Krystian from teamworkcast.com and game design reviews and game design scrapbook. And today I'm not in Monster Hunter, I'm in a different game called Gran Turismo 5. I want to make a funny video or like an unusual video. I want to make a walkthrough of Gran Turismo 5 from a perspective of a Monster Hunter. As a game designer, I kind of try to look at similarities between different games or trends. And Gran Turismo is a Japanese game as much as Monster Hunter is, and there are some interesting similarities or parallels in the way the two games work, which I wanted to just review real quick. I think for many people who are not familiar with cars, Gran Turismo might seem this is just not my thing. And that's fair, but I think there is lots of that Gran Turismo offers that you can kind of just explore as somebody who is not really into cars. I'm gonna get into this later on, but let me just give a tour through this menu. This is basically the Gran Turismo mode, which is basically also the mode in the main game mode, I guess, in Monster Hunter, where you're basically living through a career of a racing car driver, a non-very descript racing car driver. You're just kind of a dude who just races cars a lot, and you're just going through the races. And so, the core here is, for example, A-Spec mode. It's a fancy name for just, the races. And as in Monster Hunter, you have different tiers, beginner series, and there are all the races, and and then you can level up, and then you get to amateur series, professional series. Everything is there's this tier of quests, so to speak, like Monster Hunter. And yes, and they are 1-star, 2-star, 3-star quests, and whatever. And in each tier, you have different quests, so to speak, and you can do in them in any order you like. There's a mid-level here that you don't have in Monster Hunter, where there are different races in one type of event category. But yeah, that's basically it. And you get money somewhere here. Does it say here? No, it doesn't say here. But you get money from each from completing each quest, and of course there's a trophy at the end, and your goal is to get all of the trophies everywhere. So yeah, that's basically the whole game, and that's kind of unusual for racing games in general, because previously, before Gran Turismo, or generally in other racing games, you often have this idea of a Grand Prix, a series of events, and you cannot change the series of events. Here in Gran Turismo was a game where you could pick and choose, what race you want to do next. So yeah, that's A-Spec mode. And another thing, and that's kind of the cool thing, is you have a garage, and basically the game is about collecting just an insane amount of cars. This is 77 cars I have as premium cars. These are my cars. Just look at the amount of cars you collect throughout the game. Some of them I've never driven, actually. And that's just the premium cars, because I have also standard cars, and I have 137 standard cars. So basically, I'm in end game right now, and I have collected well over 200 cars. But there is an achievement for collecting 1,000 cars. Just a ridiculous amount. And that's kind of also this enjoyment of this game, just creating a huge collection of cars. This is kind of similar to the way you collect armor or items in Monster Hunter, where selling items or armor is actually a little bit discouraged. And in this game as well, if you sell cars, they are actually not worth that much. So you rather just collect just a metric ton of them. Or I guess metric ton of a car is not very that much. Yes, you collect a lot of those cars, and that's a little bit like collecting armor or items in Monster Hunter. You just going through your box and just being just amazed by the number of icons you have. You're like, oh man, I have so many cool cars. You can even sort them and everything. Everything is beautiful. Yes, so this is your car collection. You can also collect, this is the weird thing about Gran Turismo 5 of this individual installment, that you can also collect weird things like racing suits and racing helmets and horns and paints. But unlike in Monster Hunter, they actually don't do anything, so you cannot wear a helmet that makes you go faster. That's something you don't do. Right. So one thing you can also do is buy tuning parts for your car. So you aren't just restricted to one car, but you can just tune it up and then give it a better engine or reduce the weight and stuff like that. There's lots of options you can do here, and that's a little bit upgrading armor or upgrading weapons. Like you start out with one weapon and you're like, I want to make it go, I want to be for this to be stronger. So this is a little bit like this, and this part of the game sounds like very daunting for somebody who's like no idea about cars, but it is actually like super simple. Like you just this is the tier 1, the racing filter, and this is the more advanced racing filter. It's like very simple. It's really just, most of the things you do just increases the power of the car. There's no geekery going on. Right, but if you are a car geek, yes, there is of course a way to just splurge out on so many things. You can go into the settings of a car, and then you can fine tune everything about this. So not only can you like install all the different parts that you bought for a car, but you can like go into like some crazy details. Like, I don't know, you can adjust the transmission gears, like each individual gear can be adjusted. Or you can go like, I don't know, is there an LSD on this car, a limited slip differential, or like clutches, something that yes, there is. You can buy a fully customizable LSD, something I'm gonna do. And then you can like adjust the LSD, or I don't know what it means, to be honest. I know what an LSD is, but I don't know what to set up here. You can buy a fully customizable kit for suspension, and then you get like a huge menu of setting things up. And that's a little bit like jamming your armor. I always feel like you can like fine tune things. It's a more, I would say even it's a little bit more geeky than jamming in armor, because jamming in armor is kind of like pretty obvious what you have to do there. Once you figure it out. But this is like for super car geeks. The cool thing about this game that you actually never have to touch it ever. Like I had to do this, I think, once in a game, but it was like for a very advanced like Formula 1 race. And even then I just downloaded something from the internet. So don't be like intimidated by this part. Like you can do this thing, but you don't have to. Right. One cool thing that is kind of like very Japanese and very geeky is, or like very, I don't know, it's not geeky, it's just cute. You can care about your cars, because obviously like a car is something people get like an emotional attachment to, so you can actually care about your cars, and wow, this takes long to load. So yeah, this is like a very futuristic car. So you can give it like a car wash, but already has been washed, and you can give it like an oil change, and of course you can spray it and whatever, like cosmetic things. But the cool thing about this that is like giving it an oil change will just give you just like 2 or 3 horsepower back. So you do it like before every race, just to make sure that your car is in top condition. And so the funny thing about this is that it turns into like a ritual, so to speak, a little bit like eating in Monster Hunter. Like before every hunt, you have to go eat, because it just gives you this little boost, So yeah, so that's a little bit like this. So there are not just races here in this game. There's also 2 things called special events and licenses. License, that was something that was very prominent in the previous games. You basically have to make your driver's and racing's license, and there are multiple tests, which are like very quick tests. You have to make like, go through one corner or something and achieve like a certain time or something, like, going through a specific car, through a specific corner. And then, there's like gold, silver, and bronze, and it's easy to reach the bronze time. It takes some practice to get silver, and gold is like super hardcore difficult. I rarely reach gold, as you can tell. And in previous games, this was very important, because completing those licenses, that's what unlocked like the more difficult races. But in GT5 they kind of reduced the importance of it. Still, it kind of reminds or resembles a little bit how in the portable Monster Hunter versions there was like this Monster Hunter training where you were taught like the basics of Monster Hunter, but you could just abandon it and just ignore it and just do the actual quests. But the training, taught you some basics. It was just like it's just a part of the quest, not like the entire quest. And also, it's as you progressed in the training, you got harder and harder mission, and eventually you got missions which resembled a little bit how real missions work, or a little bit how to call that, the arena missions worked. And that's what also you have like in the final challenges of the license center. You just have to do like an entire circuit in a very specific car. So that's really cool. And one thing that's kind of also reminiscent of the arena quests in Monster Hunter are the special events here in Gran Turismo, which is often locked to a very specific car and a very specific track, and you also have to do like something, but it's not like a training thing. It's more like really like a challenge, like something that you can measure yourself against. So for example, like a very thing I really like and didn't do it yet, like very the advanced missions, but here's like driving a Mercedes through the Nürburgring, which is like a famous German racing track. And it starts out like with trying to get a good time on just sections of the track, and then it goes to like the full length. And of course, as you get into like expert modes, it gets like super difficult. Anyway, one cool thing that I also find funny, you can buy cars when you just go to the dealerships, and there are like cars in there, but it actually doesn't give you all of the cars. So some of the cars you can actually get just by completing certain special races. You have to be like very good in a special race, and then you get like a present like car. And then there's like the used car dealership, which is really hilarious because you kind of have to visit it over and over again between the races and hope for the car you're looking for to come up. You cannot decide what cars appear here. You get like between the race, like 8 new cars always appear, and they're randomly selected. So if there's like a car that you want to buy, like a used car, you have to just visit this used car dealership over and over again and just hope that it will come up. It is a little bit like the granny in some of the Monster Hunter games, where it's like this shop, but you can never tell what kind of items she will have in stock, and you kind of have to visit her over and over again and hope that eventually she will have the thing that you need. So one aspect of Gran Turismo, and the reason why you have so many cars, you have to collect like so many cars, is that sometimes, all those events are not just racing. You have to use a very specific car. And often the challenge is not the race itself, but actually collecting, like finding the right car to use here, or finding out what car is good here. So for example, I don't know, this part really, this event really caused me a lot of headaches. It's a sports truck race, and you have to find like a pickup truck, which is like a very unusual thing to drive around, and you have to trick it out so it's faster than the other pickup trucks. It's really, really hilarious. So it is a little bit like Monster Hunter in this regard, where Monster Hunter, it's not just about being like a good hunter and smashing the monsters. It's also like preparing, like understanding exactly what is the challenge here with every specific monster. And you're trying to kind of find tricks and preparing yourself in a way that you will be victorious against this specific monster. The actual races in Gran Turismo can be like very, very boring if you use a very overpowered car, and that's kind of like a difference from Monster Hunter, because Monster Hunter is always like very challenging. But on the other hand, like once you reach like a very high level Monster Hunter, it is very easy to just destroy the monsters with like G rank armor, and then Monster Hunter becomes very much about using the system to have fun, like inventing challenges for you. So that's something that definitely is a driving factor in Gran Turismo early on. Even like you will get very early on to situations where it's like very easy to smash the opponents, and it becomes like about using the cars that you have to make it like interesting and varied for yourself. One very hilarious thing about Gran Turismo 5 is the inclusion of B-Spec mode. This is really hilarious. You can have drivers. You can create like AI drivers. These are my guys. I have created those drivers, and they are all like ranked up already. They have like a RPG system where they level up. And you basically send them to race for you, and this is done in a B-Spec mode, and these are like missions for them. You send them on a race, and you actually watch them race, and you can even like communicate to them during the race, but they are actually not controlling them directly. They are driving for you. It is like a little bit like a race manager mode. It is a little bit like in Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, like when you send people out to do quests for you, like in the tavern. Like in the comrades that you've met online, there's always like this like some kind of like AI hunter modeled by the people you met online, and you can send them on quests, and they sometimes bring you items back. It's a little bit like this, but the Monster Hunter, you cannot watch them and actually do the quests, and here you can actually watch them do the quests. That's really hilarious. It's like a very elaborate mode, actually. There's like an entire set of missions that you can do with those guys. And of course, there's like an online mode in Gran Turismo, which is, and some parts are resembling Monster Hunter. I feel like the way they do the events here resembles Monster Hunter, because in Monster Hunter you have like those, like the quests that appear like every week or so. You download them, and then there's like a special quest coming up every week or so. And this is basically the same. There are like special races, and they appear like periodically, and there's always like something new every week or so, or every second week, and you kind of have to log in periodically every weekend to see what the new challenge is. There's also like an online dealership which also has like new cars every week, but they're kind of the same for everybody. So sometimes like extremely rare cars, or like DLC cars or something. Like, I don't know if DLC cars appear, but generally like very rare cars sometimes appear here. And of course, there is also something like a hunting profile, so you can have like your buddies. And here's basically my my guild card. You can see how much progress I made. I'm at 96%. I'm almost finished with all of the game. And you can like share cars with each other, and share AI drivers with each other. And actually, like the online mode is like incredibly complex. Like you can do like you can send each other like messages, and there's gifts, and there's lounge you can hang out in, and like really crazy stuff. I'm not using most of the stuff, but also like a funny thing is that you can also like set like icons for you, and you can share photos with each other. So there's like that's me basically. So there's basically like a lot of like weird and unusual ways in which you can interact with each other, which kind of share like a similar mindset a little bit with a lot what was going on in Monster Hunter. Generally, as I said previously, like people are often like scared away or like intimidated by Gran Turismo because they feel like they have to understand cars in order to play this game. I would maybe make it like an argument that is a little bit different, in that Gran Turismo is a good way to learn about cars. You just start the game out and you're just racing some cars, and it's very not a very challenging game. It's very easy to create like a car that is overpowered. But you start to slowly like appreciate a lot of things about the cars. You start understanding what it means for what is the difference between like a front-driven car and a rear-drive car and stuff like that. And also, all the cars are often like very well-known cars, historic cars and stuff like that. And you generally have just an ability to just learn so many different types of cars. And so, for example, one thing I really love is whenever you buy a car, it's not just a car. You can even have like description of where it comes from and why it's in the game, what makes it remarkable and stuff like that. And that's how I learned a lot about cars. I was like, I have no idea. And I played Gran Turismo 3 and read a lot of those descriptions, and were like, there is a lot of the stuff that is actually super interesting. So it's basically like, imagine playing Monster Hunter and learning all about the weapons and stuff like that. But the weapons are not just like fantasy weapons in a fantasy game. They're actually real weapons. So eventually you can like, I guess, learn about real swords and real dinosaurs that existed or something like this. So that's like a short impression of the game. I will be doing actually maybe some videos of it. I don't know if there's going to be like a video on Teamwork Cast, but I'm planning to stream something special. I almost completed the game. The only thing that is left are the endurance races, which take a long time, and I might be streaming some of them. I know I'm going to do the Road to Endurance challenge, which takes 4 hours. I will be racing for 4 hours. And of course, the thing I'm working towards is the final boss, the biggest challenge of the entire game, and probably like the most insane challenge of all gaming ever, which is a 24-hour race. Yes, that's right. You will have to race. I will have to race for 24 hours. And not just once, twice. So there's maybe something to look forward to. We will let you know when I'm ready for this, because right now I cannot even play this race. So stay tuned, and we will be back. See you then. Bye bye.